People at the Icaria's Heights might patronize a courtesan or two in the cloud districts, but they'd never lower themselves to work alongside one. Hypocrites. That much I understand perfectly. The hypocrisy is the appeal for them. The rules don't apply to me. You couldn't ask for a more pure expression of power. Damn. Worse than I remember. Like a demon tore through the place. Seriously. What the hell happened here? That's what we all get paid to find out, right? Yeah. Definitely got a head start on the rest of you, though. Shall we bring up the arcs? Sure, I'll patch you in. Allow me. If you're needed on the phone, Miss Han, please don't let me keep you here. Nonsense, I've got all the time in the world for you. Everyone's treating me like royalty today. Arcs. This is a really cool thing. Ooh. Oh. Took the words right out of my mouth. Where should we start? How about we're tall, dark, and mysterious in the middle here? That's your client. He was found standing over Chopin's body by the arresting officer. I mean, how exactly would that happen? If he was found standing over him? Was he like, oh, hey partner, you go check upstairs where we heard gunshots and I'll stay here and check downstairs? You know, why would you let your partner out of your sight in a place where gunshots were heard deep in Blueblood territory, you know? So the two ways I see this going are, one, Shadow Assassin came in, killed Chopin, and then ditched. And that's when Sasuke wandered out, found this, maybe instinctively went for the sword. The other way was that the partner was more directly responsible. I mean, he's at least responsible for negligence, you know, letting his partner wander off in this place, but still. Rogers, right? And then he knocked Sasuke out? Correct. So why is it this artist rendition of Sasuke and not a capture from Rogers' body cam? Well, it seems like at the time their body cam was off, seriously. Hey, I'd chew him out myself if he was here with us. It's department policy to have all sensors green when responding to an emergency. Did all this not qualify as an emergency then? Chopin and Rogers were responding to shots fired. That's not uncommon in this part of town. For two inexperienced officers first on the scene, it might not have come to mind. At least Chopin could have used that excuse. Rest in peace. But apparently Rogers requests replacement body cams nearly every week. Yeah, so he was definitely involved. Like, there is no doubt about that. At all. The fact that they were here when this is so far from their beat means Rogers, who was the more senior officer at least, that's sort of implied, was like, hey, we need to go here. And Chopin was like, okay. And, yeah. Okay, if he's that big of a klutz, take away his gun once the city's done throwing him a parade. I'll put in a request. Right then, who's next? Okay, so... that... Oh, who's missing the hand? What the fuck was that? What was that? Oh. Who the hell? Sorry. Bloody hell, that scared the crap out of me. Alright, let's go in order of that they were killed. The big one. He made a strange face when I shot him and a loud slam when he hit the floor. This one, real long rap sheet. With a short ending, buckshot to the torso, died instantly. Flexware on his mods put his time of death at 9:44 PM. Killed by his own weapon. Comes up a bit short of poetic justice, but it doesn't look like he was in any kind of struggle for it beforehand. but how'd someone manage to get it out of his hands? It wasn't any great feat, I assure you. Tex identified it as a double-barreled Mag US, and... Hey, how'd you know the gun was his? He's still wearing the holster in the arcs. Was I mistaken? No. Oh, Morgan. Stop slipping up like this. She knows how to play dumb. Why is she not playing dumb more? You know, this is the second time since we arrived here that she's suggested things have been like, well, it's obvious, isn't it? This is always an issue I had with Death Note, that it's like, oh, you're so smart, you have to work out these things, even though working them out sort of incriminates you. And it's like, I never quite bought it. No. About a week ago, Tanks here was stopped and frisked by a patrol unit. And they found this here gun on him. They found this gun on him and they just handed it back to him? He bought and paid for it above board. So this gun isn't jailbroken. You have tag data from the murders? No, we don't. Strange. According to the text, the gun is jailbroken. What happened between last week and last night that he'd get the tag stripped off? Something that made him think this piece would see action soon. Okay. It seems like... So we definitely need to find out who the... Can I check my phone? No, apparently not. We definitely need to find out who the officer was who checked him, if that is available. And I would put money on it being... Oh, sorry. Either Rogers himself or some other corrupt cop. But whoever it was, like, Rogers piloted Chopin here to get killed. But, yeah, I think Sasuke was an unexpected twist. Read? Papers scattered all over his desk. Suppose I'm partially to blame. I didn't exactly memorize his setup before I started searching for the mask. What's this? What did you find there? A note? Looks like Creek's handwriting from the other files I've seen. M. Icaria. Looks like M. Icaria, actually. He's dead, London. I was going to let the spelling mistake slide. Right, sorry, but M? There's got to be Makoto, right? You know Makoto? I know he's the Ikaria's heir apparent. From what I hear, he's an appropriately frightening young scion. He's really quite something. But why would his name be on Creek's desk? He was Creek's real target the other day. Sasuke was some kind of consolation prize. Bagging the Hound was a consolation prize? These punks had their sights set high. Yeah. Oh, I suppose that's the other reason he could have had it untagged. Yeah, I suppose if they knew they were about to do this job, still seems very unlikely that he'd go around with a tagged gun in general. Like, it's a loose guess. I don't know if this is something that is possible within the universe, that they faked the report and said, no, it was tagged when we arrested him, or when we frisked him, when it actually wasn't, because that would make more sense to me. Like, no one ever taught them not to stare at the sun. Windows open to the fire escape in the alley below. There's a thin misting of blood across them. Got a good guess as to who it belongs to. This is where we found Creek, leader of the pod. Ballistics tell us the shooter was standing in front of the desk, near where my client was found. Your words, not mine. Nasty slug burst into his chest, blew blood back onto the windows behind him. The open windows. Hell of a spread. Yes, it is. Did someone open these, or... No, they were open when we secured the scene. Any fingerprints? Plenty on the handles there from Creek and his pod. That's where the handles are? Something wrong? Definitely, but how the hell could I explain why I know that? No, sorry, I guess I'm wondering about the keys around his neck in the arcs. Oh, well, one was a hang on, what did I miss there? Someone must have come through the window, and whoever it was didn't use the handles because there are no fingerprints. I don't know what her fixation on the handles is. That's where the handles are. Something's wrong, but how could I explain why I know that? I mean, it should be obvious just from the spread on the windows that the windows were shut when he was shot. The other key... Oh, sorry, I missed a line, didn't I? One was a master key, could unlock any other door in the building. The other key we eventually paired to a small safe in his desk. Empty, though. Suppose that's all irrelevant, since he apparently died with the keys on his person. Yeah, that caught my eye too, to be honest, but not every detective instinct pans out. I mean, again, that was a weird thing for her to say. Like, well, I guess the keys aren't important because he's wearing them. I mean, just from that picture, the blood was on the back of them, and I suppose he was wearing them when he was shot. Okay, they might have blood all over them. So, who was this guy? Curious? Only professionally. I don't care what he was like before I killed him. Criminal record dating as far back as it goes, sealed when he turned 18. What makes it so sure he has a juvenile record then? The more experience these guys get, the more time in between their arrests. Pattern I'm seeing, he was pretty damn experienced by the time he was of age. You're trying to compliment him? I wasn't trying to insult him, Han. Anything you'd like to add? Nah, nothing I want to say in front of the two of you. If you want to say a few words, the detective and I could stare. Only words I have are for his killer. I'll deliver them in person or not at all. Fair enough. Do you have any idea why someone might want to hurt this Creek fellow? That's not funny. That dog you're defending? It's a fair question, Han. Give it fair consideration. Besides the Icaria, the Rust, or our city's finest? No. Creek was charismatic and driven. Plus he made a lot of money. No true blue would want him gone. The bloodthirsty Icaria soldier he was interrogating, however, probably wasn't a huge fan. What about family? This is getting old fast. Younger brother's listed as his next of kin. Leave his brother out of this. Hell, leave me out of this. Rooting through a person like you're picking at zits. Well, seems he's out of town anyway, taking summer lessons at How Marina U. That's a good school. An expensive school. Younger brother has no listed occupation. Also no priors, no juvenile record. TAD at his age. Poor kid. Pills for that cost an arm and a leg. Creek must have been sending him. Detective? Did you just leak the confidential medical data of a non-suspect to a third party? Hey, you don't have to report. How about I buy you an ice cream or something? Bribery too? You're digging yourself pretty deep. Is it still bribery if I'm the government official? I want to quickly talk about a couple of things here. Like, I like London. Sorry. Liked. Asterix on that. I thought he was an interesting character, and to be honest, even now he is still deeper than most corrupt cop characters you get in stuff. But, oh god, my opinion of him has taken a nosedive. Like, and not even just talking about, like, in-universe, I find corrupt cop characters really boring. And, like, it's more interesting what is done with them and what is done with the ones who fight against them than sort of what's done with them personally. Because it's always, oh, I'm doing it for the money, or, oh, I was forced into it because everyone else was doing it. It's always one of those two, and it's just not interesting. And, like, I watched the entirety of Gotham, the TV show, which is focused on, like, Commissioner Gordon from when he first started and was like, hey, Gotham is incredibly corrupt. Well, I'm not going to be corrupt. And he was basically the one non-corrupt cop in the city, and it's just like his story about how he turned the city around. So when he starts, it's just he is the only non-corrupt cop. And it's all the other characters are varying degrees of one note. And there are some exceptions, like Harvey grew on me. But apart from him, and like that sort of... It's just not a particularly interesting trope to me. But something I noticed in that conversation is Han is really, really, really not concerned with admitting to crimes in front of London. Like, she's done that twice now as well. Like, the one there, that one really shocked him that she was admitting it, that he was a good earner, that Creek was a good earner. And London is like, she's just saying this in front of me. And the reason she does is because she has no concern whatsoever that he isn't in her pocket to some degree. Like, not her pocket, but the Bluebloods' pocket. He is not going to do anything with the information that she is admitting to crimes in front of him. And I hope that they do manage to turn London around and make him interesting again. And it is sort of interesting, like, his perspective on it and him trying to downplay. No, it's not. Like, yeah, there's corruption, but... It's not that bad. It's not as exciting. You know, no one's going to kill anyone else over this, which is very much not the case in Gotham. That was very much you're in or you're dead. And that tends to be the way it's generally portrayed in other stories and fiction. Who knows if that is actually the way it is with this, but he was just willing to go along with it, so maybe he doesn't know the darker side. Or is willfully oblivious to it, as seems to almost be his way. But this is very much going to be a story about police corruption. I am like 98% convinced that Chopin was killed or put into a position where he would be killed because he wasn't playing ball and they didn't like it. And it makes me very concerned about Farah and what is going to happen with her this episode, because if this is going down a path of Morgan versus police corruption, Farah is going to be 100% on her side and in somebody's crosshairs. But yes, looking at the windows, they look like sliding windows. The perspective's a bit weird on that one, but if that's where the handles are, they must be sliding ones, and it's obvious that they were shut when he was shot. So somebody slid them open without touching the handlebars. Examine. Creek's fine wood desk. He seemed particular about it. Maybe in no small part because it had a priceless and no mask hidden inside it, but... I assume you've been through this datapad here? Front to back, but we didn't find anything we didn't already know. Seems like Creek was smart enough to use it for payments and nothing else. How'd he manage that? Even gangsters need spreadsheets. Hence the paperwork you see scattered about. They really did everything by hand? PPP is what they call it over in organised crime. Paper and pencil protocol. Helps the orcas keep their books off the books. Or at least in a format that's easier to destroy should push come to shove. Did you run checks on this credit card that's jammed in here? Not surprised you don't recognise it. There's a dark card. Wow, tell me more. Wow, tell me more. It's an untraceable wallet in the palm of your hand. I would hope any wallet could fit in the palm of your hand, Detective. But you really can't find the owner? Can't trace any of its transactions? Most we could tell is the datapad registered calls to dark card networks at around 9:40, but it timed out. What does that mean? The transfer didn't go through. Either someone got cold feet or they forgot their password. Happens to the best of us. By the way, why's this cloth been flagged? Not sure. Forensics didn't find any blood on it. Who flagged it? Lady Rockford herself. Could be that she fat-thumbed it. Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. Rockford was here. Okay. That is alarming. Inspect. This screen, I turned it on to distract Tanks long enough to grab his gun. and I remember choosing not to turn it back off. Interesting setup. Powerful setup was blaring when we arrived. The sound system, I mean. One of the CS techs is a real audiophile. Said it broke her heart how loud they must have blared the speakers all the time. Where's it out, she said. Right, let me just check some evidence, because I've not been able to get onto this during ARCs. A sound system, according to the ARC system, was still playing at the time the crime scene text started scanning. It really was giving me a headache. Windows. Windows, the scene of the crime position behind the desk opens to the alley and the fire escape. Blood spatter across the windows has, through forensic analysis, been traced to a magus shell split inside Creek's ribcage. Fingerprints on the handle match Creek. Mag US, a short barrel maglev firearm recovered from the scene of the crime, registered to tanks, found on Sasuke's person when he was arrested. Fingerprint analysis shows that Sasuke gripped it in his left hand. No one else's fingerprints are present. Modified to an illegal extent, the slugs fired detonate after penetrating, increasing lethality. Horribly gaudy, but got the job done. Last I saw it, I left it in his waistband, so if he's... Did she put his fingerprints on it? I assume she did. A physical key card key that begins the authentication process for accessing funds in a cryptographically secure account. Without the fingerprint and their 24-digit passcode, it is functionally useless. All fingerprints have been wiped off of it at some point. Only reason I had to take my gloves off in the first place was because of this useless piece of plastic. Creek's note. A note scrawled onto a piece of paper reading M. Icaria. Handwriting is by and large a match for other documents penned by Creek. Why would he write this? What purpose could he have for writing this, you know? Like, it just seems incriminating. A simple datapad with an attachment for processing non-standard identification info commonly sold to allow payment process. Besides some partials, fingerprints were found matching those of Creek and Officer Chopin. Okay. Technicians have confirmed that the datapad is locked to Creek's fingerprints. Creek and Chopin. That changes things. Because that means when Chopin walked in, Sasuke was not awake. It means that Chopin walked into the crime scene and just began handling evidence. That's bizarre. Why would he do that? I mean, he's inexperienced, but like, it's not a secure crime scene. Why would he do that? Wears it out, she said. I wouldn't count on orcas to value the longevity of their tech purchases. Like, why would he walk into this scene and immediately go over to the desk and start handling evidence? Very strange. But it's the smear of blood that's getting me at the moment, because I'm fairly sure that wasn't there. That's a really weird smear of blood. That's like dragging marks, but it looks like someone was dragged that way. Unless it's Chopin's body and he was there and he was dragged here and dropped. Right, let's look at you. Blood loss from the neck, even I can tell that much. Oh no, it wasn't. There's not one missing a hand, he's clutching the neck. Stabbed with a bladed weapon right above the carotid artery. Very efficient. Not the kind of kills someone could make without prior experience. My client's a humble bodyguard. Come on now, I know you've got a job to do, but you'll shame him if you don't let him take credit for this one. Miller was no joke in a fight. To take him out with one clean stab to the neck using his precious signature katana. The hound must be itching to brag about it. I'll defer to the medical examiner on this matter, thank you very much. What do you mean? Sato said the same thing. Katana to the neck, in not so many words. Is Miller's blood even on the katana? Even if it is, why would a medical examiner assume the katana was used here when my knife is a much better fit for... my knife? Where is it? Where? I gave Sasuke the knife before I left. It should have been found on him when he was arrested. It should be somewhere in the arcs. You looking for something, Tiger? If they haven't found the knife and I ask about it anyway, that'd mean admitting that I know it's missing. If I tell them Sasuke mentioned a knife that only the killer would know about, I'd be ruining my case before we even enter the courtroom. Or worse, pointing the police in the direction of the knife's real origin. No, Was there anything on my client's person when he was arrested? Besides a gun, a sword, and a bunch of blood that did and didn't belong to him? No, not even any lint in his pockets. Why do you ask? No reason. Sometimes you gotta shake the tree to see what falls out. Or so they say. No, you were just blindly guessing. I've been there. Something must have happened to that knife. It couldn't have just disappeared, not from a crime scene locked down like this. I need to find it, but I can't just go looking for it. Is this what it feels like to play with a handicap?